Hello everyone, let's get started. From various sites I have been approached in the past few weeks regarding this XRP price calculator. I will put the link into the description. I have tried it once, but with figures, or at the time when my thinking was in my thinking was premature. Those who have been following me know that my numbers and figures have changed over time a little bit, and today I received a tweet, a direct message on Twitter from a guy asking me about that calculator, and so I basically opened the page and did some calculations, and I also read, at least for me, the most important parts of the accompanying paper, this fundamental valuation framework for crypto assets. You will also basically will find the link behind the link of that page. Okay, so that's the paper explaining basically the math behind it. Now, in the paper they come out with a very low XRP dollar figure, something between $1 and $8 or so. I didn't investigate how they came to such a low figure. I was playing around with the figures. I used my figures, then I changed each of the parameters to see basically the effect on the resulting value, and my conclusion is that this calculator may give an indication, but I don't think the assumption of the math behind it is the correct. So I leave it really up to you, but I wanna go through with you through this calculator and explain the figures. So the first figure is daily transactions. Here interestingly they ask about trillions. Why not billions? So coming to the figure I had in my live stream, 500 billions would be 0.5 trillion. So that's the base figure. Then one of the assumptions I have always made when I was talking about liquidity is the days a person would be holding his or her XRP. I put here 30, just a month, whatever. Store of value I don't take into consideration at all. Then duration, at which time volumes are estimated to be reached in years. I put a very low number because I'm expecting that to grow quite significantly in the coming weeks or months. And as circulating supply of XRP, those of you who have been following me know that I'm not taking into account the full 40 billion which are not in escrow. I take only into account the XRP hold by the 1.4 million XRP holders who have less than 100,000 XRP, which is roughly 2 billion. And then I have added a compound interest rate of 5% because that's my assumption. An average investor would be looking after 5% value. So that brings me with these figures to an XRP price of over $7,000. Okay, now let's see how those figures change. Let me put double the amount of transaction. This gives us double the amount of price. Okay, now let's go conservative with just 50 billions transaction. That would bring us still above the famous 589 plus dollars. Okay, now those figures regarding transaction volume, my 500 billion are based on 10% Swift market share, which is purportedly 5 trillions a day. However, in recent videos, Ripple people, and also in this PDF in fundamental valuation framework for crypto assets, they are talking about a daily volume of less than 100 billion, excluding foreign exchange trades. Foreign exchange trades alone are supposed to be 5 trillion. So maybe this figure here needs to be lowered for the time being, but as you, if you follow me, should be aware in the meantime, SBI in Japan put out a strategy paper presentation where they basically showed that starting in March, in April, end of March, they would want to do foreign exchange trades. Okay, so maybe we will really start with a low figure here for the daily transactions, not including foreign exchange trades. Okay, that brings us to this 700 and something value. Now if we were to increase the time by double, the price would double. So basically you now have seen that those two figures, the amount of transaction volume daily and the time XRP holders hold their XRP, affects the result quite proportionally. So if I double one of those two figures, the value of XRP also is doubled. But let's stick with the 30. So as I also said, store of value, I calculate 0. We could also put the figure here, actually stay with 0, check again the value. So that's our base figure, $746. If we would assume 5 trillion would be used as store of value, then we arrive already at a higher, very high number, but let's put that to 0. Then the duration I have explained, I'm expecting that to go rather quickly. Another figure which is quite influential on the resulting price is the circulating supply of XRP. I have explained that I base my 2 billions of XRP on those 1.4 million accounts which have less than 100,000 XRP. But for the test of sake, let's use 11 million. That's, I think, if I remember properly, excluding the top, I think, 60 accounts or so. Would still bring us to quite a high value. Okay, so basically what I tried to show with this calculator, I think there is one factor which doesn't give us enough influence on the resulting value, and that would basically be the percentage of price increase required for an investor to be ready to sell his XRP again after he has bought it. Okay, so if we change here from 5 to 15, you see the value goes even down, because it's basically, I think the financial term is net present value. Anyway, try it out. The figures I'm proposing or I'm thinking maybe the correct figures for XRP liquid available is 2 million or less. If we do the same calculation with have 500 million only, then we arrive at 1% of Swift's market share, already at quite a high value. And if we increase that to 10%, actually 10% would be 1%, so that would be 20%, whatever, 100 billion daily transactions. So we would end up also at quite a high value. And even in their paper, in the title page, they basically showed that all models are wrong, but some are usable. This model here, I think, is useful in terms of getting an idea. But I wanna reiterate that again. I think it's really missing. It's basing the calculation is really based on the daily transaction volume and the time a person holds his XRP. However, I think that's not quite correct, because basically you don't hold an asset, a stock or whatever, for a certain period. You hold it until you make a certain amount of profit, and this factor is not taken enough into account. And those who have been going a bit deeper on the Shane Ellis theory should by now know also that the XRP price will be kind of quite stable around a certain value for a certain amount of time, until the market is kind of drying up, and after that it will make another jump, and then those who have been buying in that time when the price was stable will be willing to sell again their XRP. So we can really not know. But I think with these figures I have done, 500 billion daily might be a bit much. That might be true in April next year, when SBI comes along with the transaction, with the foreign exchange transactions. But I think the rest of the figures I have done are quite reasonable, I think. And with that, I wish you a nice day. Here it's cloudy. It did rain a little bit. Luckily, when I went for a walk with my dog, the rain was kind of giving me a dry time, but it will continue raining, and I hope our eyes soon will be raining tears of joy. With that, I wish you a nice day.